All right, what is up? Welcome back to Bleach Boys number 16. We're still coming through the end of the new Captain Shusuke Amagai arc. We have 10 episodes left. We're going to cover 5 of those this time. That way it's
just
not
couldn't get through it.
So brutal. Well, work fucked me today, so otherwise I would have gotten through all 10.
Oof.
The first episode, you'll notice I don't take a lot of notes, and then I degenerately get worse and worse. And
no.
As in, I slowly go back to taking quite a bit of notes.
It is the easier way to do things.
Yeah. So the start of the first episode, there's not much that happens. We open up with Urahara and Rurichiyo, basically explaining that the Kasumiyoji clan is planning on having a wedding for Shu Kanogi, which is the young boy that we learn is kind of being used by Kumoi, to Rurichiyo, even though she isn't there.
That's so weird. Are they getting like a stand-in?
So that's what Ichigo wants to know. How is that possible when she's still here? And they're like, oh, they could use a lookalike, whatever. It could be because they the people at the wedding will be far away because they're royal. So they won't be able to get close.
Rona.
Yeah, it could be. Lady Rurichiyo, we see, begins to feel bad about what happened to Chad and Uryu because they both got fucked up in their fight. So she's starting to think that like it's her fault that all these people are getting hurt.
She's gonna run away, gosh.
It is. Ichigo ends up finding Rurichiyo up on a roof all by herself, and he goes up there to comfort her, and he says a sweet saying, quote, "They say that only smoke and fools like high places." Quote Ichigo Kurosaki.
Wow.
What?
That's actually very deep for Ichigo.
Yeah. So, and then it's like, what are you doing up on the roof? So Lady Rurichiyo is known for a long time that Kumoi is after and all the assassins. We find out is that she's like, oh, I've actually known. It's like, you guys have been trying to hide it from me. I've known the whole time. Rurichiyo ends up stealing Ichigo's substitute Soul Reaper badge when he's like showing it off to her and is like, oh, I'm a substitute Soul Reaper. I have to protect you. So she yoinks it out of his hand, throws it off the fucking roof, and then kicks him off of the roof.
Wow.
And so
she's the assassin.
So as Ichigo's like on the ground, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what was that for? She opens up her private gate back to Soul Society, and she's like, I'm sorry, I have to go back. And then she leaves.
What if she was an assassin, though? That would have been great.
Yeah, it's possible. They try to go back after her because obviously Kinryu and Inryu are still there, and they too can open the gate. But turns out you can lock it from the other side. So I don't know why everybody else in the house hasn't locked the gate from the other side the whole time she's been gone.
Oh.
But I guess now she's decided to lock it from the other side, and it can't be opened without a key. Ichigo,
don't you think they would have a fucking key?
You would think, but their royals do stuff different.
Yeah. Well, this is the equivalent of like her room. She's like, I'm going to my fucking room. Bye. Fuck you guys.
So Ichigo turns to Rukia and says that she's the only one that can open this in Kaimon. I don't know why that's the case. Surely.
Wait, Rukia?
Yeah, surely Yoruichi? Can she not?
Is she
not
from
allowed?
a noble house?
I mean, yeah, right.
But Rukia opens up the regular Senkaimon because maybe she's just the only official Soul Reaper on hand. So they're like, yeah, you got to do it, Rukia.
Wait,
not
so
Urahara?
what is Yoruichi then? Because she's not technically a fugitive like Urahara is technically exiled.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what her deal is. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually, but I can't remember off the top of my head like what exactly her deal is with Soul Society.
She's a cat. She's a kitty cat.
She's a catch. What?
Yeah. Boy.
So they all go to leave, and after they leave, Yoruichi is like talking to Urahara, and she says, this time his opponent is a high-ranking noble clan. It will not be easy. Like, that's been easier than any of the other fights he's already done.
God, yeah.
We get an introduction from Kinryu and Inryu. When they go up to the gates, they give their formal names, which is not actually Kinryu and Inryu.
Oh.
So Kinryu
I've been
is
lied to.
Ryusai Kinsaki. So Kinryu, if you put the first part of the name. But Inryu is Rusaburo Inkogawa. So nothing to do with Inryu. Don't know why that was the case. Kinryu says that he thinks that Lady Rurichiyo plans to use the day of her wedding and then use the power that since she'll now become the head of the Kasumiyoji clan to publicly out Kumoi and say denounce him and get him out of the clan.
Or she's just going to die.
Yeah,
probably.
Ichigo is like, oh, that's actually a good plan. So let's wait till the day of the wedding and let her do her thing, and then we'll come and save her.
Oh, that would have been so cool if we got like a fucking streetwear, or not streetwear, but like all snazzed up Ichigo showing up in like a blazer.
Oh, yeah, like fancy wedding dress wear.
Yeah.
So the day of the wedding comes by. We immediately skip there. They go to the balcony. Lady Rurichiyo and Shu Kanogi, they're now newlyweds. They go to the balcony to greet the crowd. And that's when Ichigo, Rukia, Kinryu, and Inryu appear on the wall like opposite of the balcony. And they call out to Lady Rurichiyo, a little bit like the One Piece scene.
Oh.
But not nearly as cool because then they immediately move from that wall to the top of the roof. And then we see Kumoi for a split second, and he kind of smirks and like, ooh, they fell for it. And that's when we hear, don't move, Ichigo Kurosaki, and Soi Fon appears behind him. And then they are now surrounded by a whole bunch of Soul Reapers. And that's the
Soi
end
Fon's
of the
an
first
idiot.
episode. So, kind of yes, but she actually comes off really good in this arc.
Because she's doing her job.
She's very clear about that to Ichigo, as we'll find out, that she basically spends like, I'm doing my job. I trust you, but you can't do this. Like, I'm sorry.
I would have loved if they just nixed this whole thing and there was a sniper involved and they came out to the fucking...
Well, Ron Tao had the gun, you know?
Oh yeah.
So their guns in the filler arc, let me tell you, they just bring in a gun. The start of the next episode, Ichigo tries to... he's kind of surrounded, and he asks Soi Fon to give him a second, and she's like, okay, go do your thing. He uses that time to try to sway her with like a thrilling speech / apology, kind of go like, I'm sorry we didn't tell you, we should have told you, it was disrespectful, it's like, please come back, you know, you're in danger.
Aw.
Rurichiyo kind of comes back to her senses, takes a deep breath, closes her eyes, and then she just goes, I don't know who you are, what you're talking about.
Oh, what
oh
bitch!
My God,
So,
what a dumbass.
Soi Fon then tells them they're all under arrest, and now Enryu and Kinryu are caught by her vice captain, and it's looking pretty bad.
Damn.
Wait, he's actually doing something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
good for him.
Only for a little bit, because then Enryu breaks free of him, who is the big buff guy. He breaks free, flies up into the air, and we get to see the release of his Zanpakuto, which we've not seen before.
Wait, does he say anything?
He doesn't. Because he's mute. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he jumps up and he spins like like a fucking drill.
I was thinking he was gonna
Does
do
he
that.
like hand signs?
So he does that. We don't see him because he's doing like the drill animation. But his release form is basically two giant hands that float above like his regular hands, and they're attached via a chain that kind of like wraps around him.
Oh.
It's okay. But he basically uses that to come back down from the air and just destroy the whole fucking building that they're on. Just like punch through it. Rukia now is like, so the building collapses, everybody's on the ground. Rukia decides to hold off Soi Fon so Ichigo can go after Rurichiyo.
Rukia's holding off a captain.
Yeah, they're
God
kind of
tier.
just like
They don't care.
sparring at this
Yeah.
point. They're just kind of like, oh, stop. Like, Ichigo finds Rurichiyo and tells Kanogi that obviously, so Kanogi is Shu Kanogi, the little boy. And Ichigo is like telling him like, listen, obviously she's not herself. It's like, come on. And
she doesn't want to marry you, dude.
And he says like, you should know that as like, you know, the person you're going to marry is like, she's not herself clearly. Just as he's trying to explain that to Shu, he gets stabbed in the fucking stomach from Rurichiyo. And then we see Rurichiyo smirk, and it's a fucking assassin that they made look like Rurichiyo that they use as an imposter who is not the Rurichiyo in the house, okay?
Oh.
That was just a jerk teenage antics.
So
Wait, did they have midget assassins again?
they don't ever explain this at all in the next episodes that we watch. They don't explain how they did that. They don't explain if it's a power. They don't explain anything like that, except that somehow when the hand came out to stab and you see for a split second that it's like one of the assassin guys.
Wow.
So they do not explain how that is possible.
What if he was just like on his knees the whole
Yeah,
time?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
they
like,
don't-
oh, fooled ya.
They don't explain that.
Production value is real shit for this.
Yeah, so Kumoi appears behind Rurichiyo as now she is stabbed Ichigo, and he's basically like, oh no, it's not an imposter. What are you talking about? Like, this is the real Lady Rurichiyo. And you find out that's because Soi Fon has now appeared and is attacking Ichigo.
Oh,
So she tells Kumoi to take Rurichiyo and leave while she takes care of Ichigo. Soi Fon's vice captain now gets it from the rebel and is now challenging Rukia because she's been left in the fucking dust by Soi Fon.
Hey, you doing anything over there?
Yeah.
He's just like, hey man, I want to take it easy right now.
So he's about to fight Rukia. Now Kinryu appears and kicks him in the back of the fucking head and tells Rukia to leave.
Could you imagine?
This guy's a punching bag, just an absolute
He's
punching
just
bag.
like,
Inryu now appears behind him as well and is now holding him while Kinryu releases his Shikai and just blinds everybody with the flowers. Ichigo tries to explain to Soi Fon like to listen to him, and Rurichiyo is an imposter, but of course Soi Fon's like, nah, I'm not gonna listen to that.
nah, that little girl straight up stabbed you.
So Soi Fon at this point eventually releases her Shikai, and just then as they're about to fight with her Shikai now drawn, Rukia appears and does her like ice shooty technique and creates a giant ice wall in between the two of them. Rukia tells them that they need to get out of here, and as they go to leave, so they're like, fuck, we need to leave, like let's recoup, let's go somewhere else. They go to leave, and then Shu Kanogi, the little boy, is like, no, don't go that way. It's like, I know the safe way. It's like, come this way.
I'm not trusting little people anymore in this
So
fucking
he
anime.
leads them
You
out.
know, little people.
So after the battle, Kumoi, Soi Fon is looking for him, and Soi Fon says that they have to be inside of the palace still because that's the only logical explanation for where they could have gone. But Kumoi tells them not to track them any further and leave it to them because they don't want them in the palace.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kanogi tells Ichigo and Rukia that he wants to save the real Rurichiyo because he actually does love her. Like Like he's not just part of the plan.
How old is he?
Yeah.
They're probably both like 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
God, that's gonna be a kick in the fucking balls in like 7 years. Oh,
so
fuck.
Soi Fon eventually gets a report of Ichigo and Rukia reappearing at the back gate, and they're doing the classic hold Lord Kanogi as hostage. So they're like, oh, he's really on our side, but we're gonna pretend that we're using him as a hostage. They basically use that to be allowed to walk out, and nobody stops him. They're just like, okay, yeah, let him go. He's got Lord Kanogi, whatever.
Ichigo, make it believable. Punch me.
Of course, after this, they have the classic captain meeting. And that's just everybody getting the news of Ichigo and Rukia and the fact that they're here and what they did.
Did Soi Fon show up?
Yeah, she was there.
What?
Amagai says since everybody here is close to him, then he should be the one to take care of this. The head captain, Yamamoto, agrees. But before leaving, Soi Fon, once again coming off as this person, tries to explain how Kamui is acting strange and like didn't want them to go into the palace. And she thinks that there is something up. But Yamamoto shuts that shit down and then...
doesn't trust his subordinates.
Yeah. So later... Izuru finally decides to tell Amagai that he saw Makoto, which is the third seat, Kibune, I believe is his other name. He entered the Kasamioji clan. He was watching the battle with like the Matrix signs, and he attacked his own squad mates. Amagai is pretty understanding about this. He comes off as a really nice guy, but he does say they shouldn't act just on suspicion alone. Asks Izuru if he's told anybody else, which is pretty suspicious, and then tells him to keep an eye on Makoto's action and let him know immediately if anything happens. And that's the end of that episode.
Did we get a hand on the shoulder like, hey, bud?
So
I appreciate
they didn't really, the whole talk, like you could see how they would like very heavy handed, like, oh, this guy is suspicious as well. But they just make Amagai have to be very caring this whole time. Like they don't plant the seed at all that like,
that's good.
Hey, maybe he's going to fuck you over. They're like, the whole time Amagai's like, hey, it's like, don't cause suspicion. It's like, let me know. I'll take care of it. I brought him into the squad. It's like, I'll take him out.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's how it should be handled normally.
Yeah, good writing.
So Ichigo and Rukia at the start of the next episode then ask Shu Kanogi if he would know where to find Rurichiyo, but this is where he basically explains that he's just never really been outside the palace himself, so he wouldn't even know where to look.
Fuck.
Soi Fon at this point is actually thinking like about what Ichigo had said, and she's trying to figure out what was going on as well. Even her vice captain, who is the fucking punching bag, is also like, hey, so you find out in implication of this sentence here, he says, do you think it was wrong of us to hand over Kinryu and Inryu to the Kasamioji clan? So they got captured and they handed them over to the Kasamioji
they're dead
clan.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even the vice captain is like,
shit.
yeah, that's probably wasn't the right play, but okay.
I want to see Soi Fon with a monocle right now and like a detective's hat.
We get to see Kamui. He's looking over the destruction because one of the fucking houses got absolutely wrecked. And he's thinking to himself about how he didn't expect Ichigo and Rukia to actually get away, and then the 13 court guard squads are fucking useless. And he also didn't count on Lord Kanogi being taken hostage, so he's a little bit his plan's a little bit fucked there. But then we get to see what happened to the real Lady Rurichiyo. So what had happened? She was coming back through her gate, but Kamui got tipped off that she was on her way back.
Okay.
So he had an imposter, Rurichiyo, which is the one that went to the wedding, come out of the gate before her. And then when she came out, he was like, oh, so happy you're back. Let's all go to the grand hall for a celebration. Lured all the people away. And then when the real Lady Rurichiyo came out, he had his assassins kidnap her and lock her away.
They literally could have just killed her.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a reason why they're not killing her.
He has a fucking imposter. He's perfect. He's golden for the rest of time.
That's why I'm saying I'm sure there's a reason. They haven't gotten into like like Kumoi's plan yet, aside from he wants to take over the clan. So I'm sure there is some sort of reason that he can't kill the real one, but they haven't talked about it. We basically see the real one now. She's locked in basically a bird cage, and we hear footsteps begin to approach her, and we do see it is Makoto, which is third seat Kibune.
Oh.
And he's basically filling in Lady Rurichiyo to what's going on inside, like, oh, Ichigo followed you through, made a mess of your wedding, and now the court guard squads are against him, and she's, upset by that. Rurichiyo then is like, just decides to be a badass at this point and calls out like Makoto, and she asks him, is like, oh, are you being paid? He responds, nope, I'm here for a different reason. I'm not someone who could be swayed by money. Then Rurichiyo responds to him, you must, it's like, that makes sense. Otherwise you wouldn't be so afraid. It is obviously to me, you are deathly afraid of something. It's written all over your face and in your voice. And this pisses off Makoto, and he like fucking smacks the cage with his sword, and he's just like, stop talking, and then leaves.
Yeah.
So on Kibune, it's way back. I'm just going to switch names back and forth. He runs into a drunk squad member of his own squad. And the squad member asks, like, hey, it's like, let's just keep this a secret, right? It's like, no one has to know because they're supposed to be on like guard duty looking for Ichigo.
Yeah, but he's just fucking having a good time.
They're supposed to be, Amagai volunteered the whole squad.
Is this guy wearing a red shirt?
No, he might as well be though. Because he then is like, hey, it's like, don't tell anybody. And if you don't tell, I won't tell that I saw where you came from. And this, of course, pisses off Makoto. He puts his hand on his sheath, and that's the last we see of that. We cut to Izuru now, and he's reporting to Amagai that Makoto is missing, as well as one of the squad members. And he says that some of the other squad members went to a late-night drinking session last night, and one of them thought they saw Kibune and then went after him. So Amagai is like, hey, I'm going to go after the Substitute Soul Reaper quickly and find him. Izuru, you go find Makoto. Then we get a nice scene with Renji and Byakuya, which is always a pleasure. Renji is basically asking him how he plans to handle the whole Rukia and Ichigo thing. And Byakuya does his normal, basically saying, like, I have no sympathy for anyone who defies orders from the Soul Society. And Renji's like, but your sister. And Byakuya cuts him off. It's like, I stand by what I said. I expect you personally to handle all the search party related stuff.
He just doesn't give a fuck.
So Renji like tries to argue, but then he puts it together like mid sentence, and he's like, "Oh, like I'm in charge of everything." And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Cool, got it." It's like, "Thank you." So then
Renji's a good guy.
He is good. They're both good guys.
Yeah.
They're both very good guys. Ichigo, Rukia, and Kanogi are now hiding in the sewers, which is another Bleach classic.
Yep.
They begin to hear others in the sewers and start to run. As they're running, Ichigo at one point, he does comment like, "Oh, I wish Hanatoro was here. He knows all the exits of the sewer." And so they exit the sewer, and waiting outside is Captain Amagai and a bunch of his other Soul Reapers.
You can just dip back down, right? He doesn't have to go up.
So Ichigo asks who he is, because obviously this is the only captain he's never met.
Oh, yeah.
And Rukia, even herself, is like, damn, what luck. Had it been someone else that we knew, we might have been able to get away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so she's met him then.
Rukia has not met this guy.
Oh, she knows the captain.
Yeah, she knows that they were putting a new captain in before she left.
Dicked.
Yep. So Rukia then introduces herself and asks if there was any way that he would be willing to listen to their side of the story before, happening. But Amagai's like, I'd be willing to listen to your story if you come quietly to our holding cell, and then I'd listen to you there.
Oh, okay.
Ichigo then steps in and is like, tells Rukia to take care of Shu Kanogi, and then they begin fighting because he knows he's not going to listen anyway.
Did Amagai hear Shining Star at any point? Because he's fucked.
No. So Amagai does like kind of a cool thing in this fight. They're fighting and they clash blades, classic Bleach. And he, with his other hand, grabs the backside of Ichigo's blade, like the non-sharp side, and uses it to fucking throw Ichigo like across.
Oh,
that's smart. Yeah, I was like, oh, damn.
He's a really big dude, right?
I wouldn't say he's really big. Like he's not like Kenpachi sized or anything.
Okay.
He's just like a regular. He looks very close, like
Ukitake and Kuraka size.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Same size as that. Amagai releases Zanpakuto in this fight, though. One of them. He says, Sever Raika, and it turns into a fire sword. So it's one of the fire swords. And it has a crescent tip on it. And basically, he can, like, one of the few things that he did, he creates, like, a little fireball inside of the crescent tip, and he can, like, throw it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Like lacrosse.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's dope.
So Ichigo, a little later in the fight, then shoots a Getsuga at him, and Amagai goes to basically, like, slash it and push it back. And this is when we see another thing his sword can do. He begins clashing with the blast. And so we see on the hilt of his blade, this is going to be very hard to explain.
Okay.
Basically, imagine like a dueling blade. You know how they have the thing that protects your hand, the curve bit? That is made out of like 3 almost like flute openings, like, like the horn openings, the big side of it.
Okay.
And he can basically like, it powers up and starts like lighting up fire like it's combusting like an engine.
Oh, okay.
And thus he can like power up and allows him to deflect the Getsuga. Hopefully that made sense. Shu then because
are they all together, by the way?
They're like 3 separate ones, but they're like all hooked together in like a thing.
So it's like almost like an engine pipe.
So it looks like a rapier kind of.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So like an engine pipe, but curved into a rapier thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. It's exactly what it is. So Shu then runs in between the battle, asking Captain Amagai to stop. And he explains that he says these people really did come here to save the princess. It's like they're not trying to kill her. The Kasumyoji clan is in trouble, but with his help, they can save it. He then pleads with Captain Amagai to please help save Lady Rurichiyo before they kill her. And with that, Amagai actually lowers his sword and says, after hearing the sincerity in your voice, I have to hear you out. Which, I mean, they do a really good job of making him like a cool guy.
He's a good guy, yeah.
After hearing the story, Amagai says, unfortunately, the head captain doesn't want us to stick our noses into their affairs as it's beyond our jurisdiction. So they'll have to find a reason to justify their involvement. So basically, they have to find a cause before they just go in there buck wild.
Okay.
Ichigo says that they have one starting point, and it's the Bakudo, which are the swords that all of them use where they fist the fucking sea animals.
Yikes, man.
Amagai asks what they were planning before they were captured by him. And they said they were just going to look for the real Lady Rurichiyo. They were going to first rescue the princess, then use that to expose Kamui. Amagai says he understands now that he has the whole story. He'd be happy to help them save the princess. He then tells one of his subordinates to go to Lieutenant Kira and make sure that he's informed on all of the happening as well. And that's the end of that episode. So the next episode, we immediately start with Izuru. We see what he's doing. He's basically just stalking the Kasumyoji clan entrance, trying to see if he could spot Third Sea Kibune going in and out.
What a creeper.
Yeah.
And then he gets a hell butterfly, basically just filling him in on all the stuff that's happening. We go back to Amagai, who says that he can't involve his squads in these affairs, but a few of them did offer to pitch in. So there's like a group of 3 of the subordinates that have kind of been like, I don't know, semi-important side characters, but they still look like side characters, like that you'll never recognize ever again.
Nothing very important about them.
So those 3 have offered to help out. I don't know if they ever come into play later, but there you go. Ichigo asks why he wants to help them, and Amagai says that he has his own personal interests, and he'll explain while they're on the move. So they begin moving to try to look for Lady Rurichiyo or Third Sea Kibune, and then we see as they go to leave, we see the 4 of them get spotted by 2 of Komamuru's men as they're like kind of hanging out on a roof. Like, oh, is that Amagai with Ichigo?
Oh.
And so now we find out that Amagai's reason is basically Makoto, Third Sea Kibune, and saying that he can't go to the 13 court guard squads because the 13 court guard squads is a very stubborn bureaucracy. I've misspelled that incredibly in there. And it would take too long. Then we see Yamamoto get the report about Squad 7 having spotted Amagai with Ichigo Kurosaki. He says to inform the other captains and then call a captain's meeting once again.
Could you imagine how mad, like, if there was like one captain in that group that just despised Ichigo, and they're like, finally, we sent the guy that would actually kill him, and then you see him running around with this new captain. He's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. So we get to see Renji. He appears in front of Squad 7, which is Komamuru's squad, and they're all patrolling, trying to find Ichigo, obviously. Komamuru's vice captain, which I believe I wrote his name, Tetsuzaemon Aiba, I believe is his name. Tells him that he's in their assigned spot and he needs to leave. Renji replies saying that he knows Ichigo and Rurichiyo better than anyone, so let him through. Tetsuzaemon says, you do have a point, but orders are orders. And then they both pull their swords at each other, of course.
13 court guard squads.
They're always at each other's throats, man.
Yeah.
And then we also see Ikakku and Shuhei, the 69 guy, begin to fight for similar reasons, where they all have their zones they're supposed to be in, but they're like, nah, we know Ichigo's over there, so we're going to go over there.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, dog, stay in your zone. So Izuru now is back trying to think where Makoto could possibly be hiding. He has a flashback to the old fighting arena they used to train in at the very beginning of the arc, and he goes, oh, yeah, that's it. It's like, because when they were training in that arc, one of the things that they said was like, oh, no one actually uses these anymore, so we thought we might as well use it. And he's like, oh, well, nobody's going to be there, so that's where he's going to be hiding.
Yep.
That's really dumb.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. In the captain's meeting, Ukitake actually tries to speak up, saying that none of this makes sense, and tells Yamamoto that he says, I implore you to please investigate the Kasumyoji clan. Yamamoto just says no, and he forbids any investigation into that clan.
Which isn't like a Byakuya hint, wink, wink, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So after that, Chill Captain and Ukitake are talking, and they're both saying, like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The Kasumyoji clan is clearly at the root of the disturbance, and if they don't hurry, the chaos might spread to the court guards. And then we see Nanao appear and basically say, yeah, there's a fight in the Sarate. So already a little late.
I wonder if this is now a Yamamoto
this could have been
test.
avoided, you know? Yeah.
It really could have. But maybe it's like a Yamamoto test where he's like, not only can I create Menos Grande, I can also create conflict, and I want you to defy my orders in the best interest.
Yeah.
You know, and like
Maybe.
I want to see if you guys have a good heart.
Oh, that'd be.
It's all a big lesson at the end.
That shit pisses me off. Like you ruined things right there. I don't like that.
So we see more of the Ikakku versus Shuhei fight and Renji versus Tetsuzaemon fight. Ikakku and Renji are basically both having conversations mid-fight, saying how they know Ichigo wouldn't do this for no reason and something must be up. Then we get to see Izuru run into one of his squad mates, and they are now surrounding a covered-up body on the ground. It's the body of the man who disappeared that night when he saw Kibune.
He's just sleeping, right?
Yeah, just under a tarp, and they say he's dead, and So Izuru runs into one of the towers that is surrounding the arena that they used to train, and he begins to hear a weird noise coming from up above, and there we cut to Lady Rurichiyo, who has picked her lock open, and walks out and says, wow, I can't believe nobody else is around, and then a bunch of assassins appear and begin recapturing her.
So she could have done this a while ago?
she made it seem like she had never tried before, and she just happened to figure it out.
Oh,
It's
so
like,
she just got
wow,
lucky.
what luck.
So when you were telling that, it basically sounded like to me either this bitch has a fuck ton of keys, like she just has a key ring and she can lock her fucking Senkaimon, or she can do this.
She's royalty.
Or I thought she was the fucking assassin imposter, and it was like, wow, look, I was able to escape. Psych. And then all the assassins show up and it's like, gang, gang. But no.
So we see on the roof as she's being captured that Izuru is up on the roof, and she's basically looking in, and he does recognize her immediately. He's like, that's Lady Rurichiyo, and says that something is definitely up and he should go report this to Amagai. Just then, he too is surrounded by a bunch of assassins. He takes down 4 of them. Pretty easy peasy.
Okay.
Then more appear. This time they're all wielding Makoto. So all of them have like a fucking sword, which, being fair to Izuru here, he has a great showing because he jumps out into the arena and begins fighting all of them at once. And as he is mid-fight, he starts to see Lady Rurichiyo being taken away. Okay, hold on. Some of my text is in white.
Oh, no.
If you're Izuru in this situation,
Yeah.
how do you go about fighting all these guys then? Because your sword, it makes everything heavy, right?
You just go around and you just do a full round. You dink, dink, dink everyone. And then they're already heavy. They're slowed down.
Yeah, because they're trying to hit you. So even if you block, that still initiates contact, right?
Well, I'm curious. Is it just contact, or does he have to be the one to hit it? Like if it's his intent to hit. So what if somebody was coming to swing at him
And he blocked it, but it was
he edged it just a little forward. He's like, oh, like I attacked you. Oh, but you cut my attack in half by I didn't go for the full swing.
Maybe it just wouldn't work on him because if someone's a lot stronger than he is and he makes their weapon heavier, it might just backfire.
Yeah, so he has to be the taller guy.
Yeah.
So he can only fight shorter people. Hitsugaya.
I was gonna say
and all the other assassins.
They'd happily jump into that blade.
Yeah, I thought so. That's the other issue is he could have taken down way more assassins, but his fatal flaw is he ultimately doesn't have a Gatsuga for them to fall into.
If he had a Bankai, what do you think his Bankai would be?
Okay, so he's depressed boy, and his Shikai doubles weight.
It makes everybody fat.
Yes, but what happens is it's like an Aizen illusion control thing where they go into a dream state. They wake up, they take their morning piss, and then they go to weigh themselves. But now they're double or quadruple. They get super depressed, lose their will to fight, and then they just kind of slop down on the floor.
And then that's when he comes by with his curved sword and goes.
Okay, so we get a nice speech from Tetsuzaemon here as he's talking to Renji, and he says that he's sensing a spiritual pressure all over Sarate going haywire. And Renji asks, then why won't he just let him go? He swears to prove the innocence of Rukia and Renji, or Ichigo.
Oh, he just fucking threw his cards out.
Yeah. So Tetsuzaemon says, I guess if you're that confident, then I'll put my trust in Ichigo Kurosaki as well. You're not alone. I bet we all feel that way. Most of us have a lot of faith in that guy. However, we still got to follow orders. And I want to find Captain Amagai and the others. How else can we prove their innocence? And we cut to Ikakku.
Are they still fighting, by the way?
They're just standing, talking to each other.
Okay.
We cut to Ikakku, who is basically continuing the same sentence and says, when you cross swords with Ichigo, you'll get it. You'll know that he wouldn't raise all this hell for no reason. But until then, I refuse to let anyone get in his way.
Damn, Ikakku's the boy.
So both of their opponents, at the same time, they ask, well, what if you're wrong? What if he betrayed us? Both Ikakku and Renji reply at the same time, saying that they'll deal with it when it comes, and his sentence will be death.
They'll be fucked if Ichigo goes rogue, though. Let's be real.
I don't think so. I think with a numbers game, he's pretty done.
And
That's
they have
yeah.
Yamamoto.
Yeah.
I would love to see that fight. They did have to
with a numbers game, it would be over. If they all dogpiled him, it's just game over.
What about full power Ichigo? Very end of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc where we get fade to black. It's 20 years later.
Yeah, we don't even know what that is. We don't know anything about that. So how am I supposed to judge that? Hold up. Let me imagine the back half of the fight that we didn't see. All right, so Ichigo's powers in the back half of the fight that we didn't see when he created a new sword after his had been broken in the future somehow.
Yes.
He has 2 swords.
He would lose. There you go.
That's fair. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I also too hope you die tonight.
We get Super Byakuya, we get Super Hitsugaya, Kenpachi.
Oh,
yeah. Let me just write Tite Kuba real quick. Hey, what was Ichigo's powers at the end there? Can you tell me?
bruh.
Just on a scale from 1 to 12 with all, or 13 with the court guard squad, like just place them anywhere there. I want to know.
Yeah.
I feel like the answer from all of the Bleach fandom would be, Bleach isn't as shonen-y as you think it is. It's more subtle. Like, there's a lot more subtleties to it, and there's a telling story with the fact that we never got to see his full Bankai, and blah, 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 and that would be his answer to you as well.
We'll never know unless somebody asks. So
That's a good point.
Back to it. Izuru dispatches all the assassins and then tries to go and chase after Rurichiyo. But then a sword comes flying at him, and we see that it is Third Sea Kibune. He's standing up on one of the towers and says, sorry, but the princess is long gone by now, and that's the end of the episode. And I think this is the last episode here.
Oh.
So at the start of this episode, which is really weird, 69 guy is no longer fighting Ikakku. It's just like they're just done, and Ikakku and 69 guy is now like deploying his squad mates to different zones. They don't ever talk about what happened. It's just done, apparently.
They probably figured we might as well not waste the animation on any of this.
That's true.
So Chill Captain and Ukitake are talking once again because that's what they like to do. And Ukitake is saying that he doesn't understand why the head captain won't take action. Chill Captain says that he couldn't find any info on them either. And here we learn that Squad 12, Mayuri Squad, is not getting involved at all. And they're just basically chilling, watching for any other intruders trying to get in and use this as like a good decoy. Amagai gets a hell butterfly saying that Izuru had found Princess Rurichiyo, and it was at the Squad 3 barracks. Yachiru is now asking Kenpachi if he's going to go after Ichigo, and he's just like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Oh, he's probably upset. He's like, the motherfucker showed up again, no barbecue.
So Yachiru is like, well, since Kenpachi, you were there during Amagai's examination, aren't you worried that you'll be responsible for what he does? Kenpachi's like, nah, don't care. I got tricked by the old man. So
You got tricked by the old man.
Which, if you remember, part of the mystery at the start was who was at his examination. Nobody knew. No one knew who was there. And so Kenpachi is one of them. We don't know who the other one is, but Kenpachi was one of them.
I can just imagine Kenpachi just being like,
yeah.
not even looking at him, be like, huh, yeah, him? Yeah, I don't care.
$10 Yamamoto's like, I'll fight you if you come to this.
Let's do it.
So Amagai and Ko are running to the arena to find Izuru, and that's when they see a squad of assassins basically like run by on the other side of some trees, and they're carrying something in their arm. So Ichigo and Amagai immediately go to run after the assassins, while Amagai sends the rest of the three side filler characters to go after Third Sea Kibune, and then they tell Rukia to, because they still have Shu Kanogi with them the whole time, like, Rukia, carry Kanogi and follow after us because, sorry, Rukia.
That's misogyny.
Yeah. So Makoto is telling Izuru that he gave the assassins a scaled down Makoto, but he's still impressed that he was able to defeat them all. They begin to fight, and then that's when the other squad members show up to Izuru, and they're just like stunned that Izuru and Makoto are fighting. Izuru tells them to stay back, and Makoto is the enemy now. Izuru calls out Wabisuke and begins fighting. This is the first time he summoned his Shikai because he fought the other guy's no Shikai.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We get kind of the classic, like, they fight, when all of a sudden Makoto can't lift his weapon anymore. And he's like, oh, what did you do? We already know what he did. So Makoto takes this opportunity to explain to Izuru what he wants, like why he's doing all of this. He says that the Katsumiyoji, he says what the Katsumiyoji clan is, and whatever it does is above your head. But what they do possess is tremendous power, and I want to use that power to become the strongest Soul Reaper ever.
How funny would it be to
Wow.
use, like, when Josh is being annoying and stuff like that, you just hit his door a couple of times so he can't open the door.
Good in theory, but I feel like more realistically it'd fall off the hinges, and then it would just be an open door full floor plan,
Okay.
Congratulations. You played yourself. I would walk out of that room.
I really just hit Josh 7 times.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, get his leg so he has a heavy leg syndrome or something like that.
You would be the guy that would, like, as I'm, like, measuring or, like, weighing myself in the bathroom, just sneak Wabisuke in there.
What? 100 pounds?
Oh, my God. But, so, I'm pissed. That's a shit fucking reasoning. It's because, I can't be swayed by money, but I want to be the strongest Soul Reaper.
You probably relate to this because you find out he basically has high school trauma. So, carrying on, he decides to go ahead and lift his blade kind of like telepathically now because it's one of his powers. He just like floats the blade in front of him, and he begins to shoot it at Izuru, basically making it spin and go fucking Beyblade mode. And Izuru, tries to catch it, but gets fucking sent flying back.
What's his like Beyblade animal?
Oh yeah, they didn't talk about his dragon spirit or something. Yeah, they haven't got to that
typical
part yet.
Tite Kubo. They don't want to talk about it.
Izuru goes to hide inside of one of the towers now, and Makoto goes in to try obviously finish him off. And Izuru takes that chance to give a speech to Makoto about how he's been given so much power, why not use it for good? Makoto doesn't appreciate that he specifically used the word given, and says, "You have no idea how much I sacrificed for this," and then tries to attack where he thinks
killed
Izuru
somebody.
is.
Yes.
Izuru teleports, does
actually, he
Hado
did.
31 Shakuho, and hits Makoto. Makoto is now on the ground and tries to call back to his weapon. Izuru says, "Too slow," jumps in the air to go to finish him. Just then, Makoto reveals that this whole time somehow apparently, he's had one of the Makoto on him, and he's now fisting a squid. So it shoots green energy, blowing Izuru back away from him. The squid takes over Makoto's arm, a sight we've seen many times before, and he attacks Izuru now with this same sword and sends him flying now out of the tower back into the arena.
I'm thinking we get a T-shirt that says Bakudo or whatever the Bakudo or whatever the thing is, and just say Squid Fistin, like equals Squid Fistin.
Yes, it's seriously gross.
Ugh.
So Izuru now asks, "What is that thing?" We get our 15th explanation of a Bakoto here. Not gonna go through it at all. We're gonna go ahead and skip right over that. Kibune says that he always had power, but for some reason no one chose to recognize it. Flashback time. Here you go, Josh. Buckle up. Kibune was always the top of his classes academically.
Kill me.
Academically, but for some reason he never got a call to join the 13 Court Guard squads, even when people lower than him were getting the same call.
Oof.
Even after that, he continued to train painstakingly for years. He finally achieved a Shikai and was accepted into the squad. Never says what squad, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't have Shikai and people were getting accepted? No fucking shit.
Yeah.
That's like Sam and his character.
Yeah, but I feel like you can be in the 13 Court Guard squad and not have your Shikai. Like, yeah, that's a thing.
I feel like that's
How
right.
many of the fucking regular loser characters did you see ever use a Shikai?
They're not supposed. That's a lot of effort that he has to put in there. He doesn't like to write all that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying nobody ever uses it. You
This
seem
is
like
an
you could just
ass
draw.
tier.
You could just draw swords looking weird and be like, "Oh yeah, look, they all have Shikais." Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Don't you remember how many
Yeah.
swords Ichigo had when he was training for Bankai?
yeah, yes, good
I actually
point.
don't.
So he said he was accepted in the squad, and he's killed more hollows than anybody, but his fighting style became an issue with the others. Basically, he would go to hit the hollows, and he wouldn't care if the other squad members were in the way, and would just fucking hit them as well.
So he was just an asshole.
Yeah, so he ended up falling out of favor, of course, and then he faced being banished from the squad. He managed to avoid being discharged, but was sentenced to probation, so his chances now of becoming a seated member was effectively over because he was on probation.
So he's an idiot.
He's an asshole. He's not an idiot.
Self-inflicted wounds.
It's not self-inflicted.
He was trying to hit his teammates.
Obviously, you're going to get fucking probation if you fucking yeet your
He could have been
teammates.
banished.
Oh.
That's
okay,
that's
so
why.
his only options are I'm not getting a seat now.
Yeah.
Because he had to go fucking yeet his
Which I would say
teammates.
is pretty well done.
Yeah.
You scare me some days.
Wait, he could have been banished, never allowed to be a Soul Reaper again, and you're upset that he just
No.
got off with probation.
No, that's not what
It's
I'm
like
saying.
you're
I'm not.
basically saying,
Shush.
you're
No.
basically saying, oh my
Sam's got one part of my idea and ran with it
You're
in
like,
the wrong direction.
he could have been in prison, but instead he just got probation. What a fucking loser.
No, I'm saying, what an idiot. How could you not think you were going to have fucking probation or banishment for fucking almost killing your teammates?
Yeah,
Like,
but
why are you so concerned? Like, oh, I didn't get my seat. This is bullshit.
because he doesn't care. It's like he's not an idiot because of that. He doesn't care. His whole job was like, oh, I'm a Soul Reaper. I'm going to kill hollows. Like, who gives a fuck if these guys are in the way? And he was very successful at it, as he explained. He was the number one. But he would just also hit his fucking squad mates because he didn't give a fuck if they were in the way.
He's the Wolf of Seirete.
Yeah. So he's just trying to live his life out here. And he's really pissed off that piss ants like Josh are getting the seats instead, as he says later.
Piss ants like Josh.
Wait, I thought Josh was that guy.
Some of us have our Shikai. So...
Yeah, which you find out is not necessary. So after that, he received orders to join the expeditionary unit, and that's where he met Amagai, as we all know. And he stayed there, basically just killing hollows so he can prove his worth to those who didn't recognize his talents. Then he finally encountered this, quote, awesome power, and we see him first meeting the Bakoto Squid Fister power thing.
Hey.
And with the power he now holds, no one will ever be able to ignore him again, but it's not enough because he now holds the key to great power. They begin. Go ahead.
Sorry. So he's got a fucking Zanpakuto and a Bakoto?
Yes.
I just picture like a giant.
But that's like the
squiddy
whole
arm.
point
Yeah.
of the Bakoto that they've said very early on is that anybody can use it.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of it. Is like, yeah, some people aren't strong enough to have like a cool Shikai. So here, take this Bakoto. It'll make you instantly strong, but it like siphons it off of you.
But it doesn't seem all that strong. Like if it get that, well, I guess
It depends on the spiritual pressure.
Yeah, their explanation would be, hey, we gave it to a shitty assassin.
Yeah.
He fucking fell into a Gatsuga. Rip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he begins feeding more spirit energy to his Makoto and saying, possessing such absolute power will force every Soul Reaper to respect and bow down to me. He then shit talks Izuru, saying it's weak people like him with no power who he had to watch get his position. He says this all the while basically kicking the shit out of Izuru. He eventually makes Izuru hit the ground and then goes for his finishing move. He sends the Beyblade of destruction flying towards Izuru, and he's just kind of laying on the ground, and that's the end of the episode. That was episode Bleach 184.
So we don't know if he dies.
Yeah, he's dead next episode, actually. Spoiler alert. So,
I mean, it's not a loss.
Yeah, it's
so. Was Izuru on like common ground with him at a point before he brought out the Makoto? Because it's kind of lame that he's like, oh, weak people like you that are on par with me.
He's only like stronger because he's using the Makoto right now.
I think that's the case for Kibune right now. It did seem like Izuru was better than him.
So it's the D student be like, bruh, why are the B students doing better than me?
But I think his problem is he doesn't like the way Izuru acts.
Well,
he
he
doesn't
like the emo.
Like, he's not fit to be second C. You know, like, his attitude is not fit for that. And I think that's what he said in the beginning of this arc when they found all the hollows in the pit. And Kibune attacked Izuru again there, too. And he was like, yeah, you're too slow. Like, you don't make any decisions. Like, what's wrong with you?
Ew, damn Debbie Downer.
Yeah. So I think that's his main thing with it because, I mean, his power seems pretty good. Like, no doubt you hate Izuru all you want. Well, Beastskate's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
but
that's,
I mean,
that's a good power.
That power just weighs heavy on his soul, you know?
Yeah, he hit it 7 times. So there's now only 5 episodes left. And as you mentioned earlier, they do, obviously, Amagai becomes a bad guy at some point.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
If I remember correctly, does he wear the squid at some point?
I don't know. I don't really remember the big climax battle. It is obviously going to be Ichigo versus Amagai. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're setting that up.
I don't remember what that fight is like. So, and I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be the last episode.
Do you think they're probably going to fight where Byakuya and Ichigo
They always
fought?
fucking
Right,
fight up there. They did that with Karya.
Yeah.
They did that. They're going to do that this fight too. They end up there.
What if it's shot for shot the same animation and everything, and it ends where he's like, you know, Ichigo, I've always wanted to tell you something, then just fades away. And it's like, oh, fuck.
Well, motherfucker. It's like, yo, you guys just met. Like, what do you want to tell him? It's like, oh, I left out a part, which this is the one part that he is a little suspicious.
Oh, sus, dude.
So they needed to get to where they thought Izuru and Kibune were, and everybody's on patrol and in their own zones, as we were talking about. So he's telling Ichigo that it's like, oh, well, fuck, do we just bolt there and just hope for the best? And he's like, no. It's like, I am the one who trained them because remember, he wanted them to do the joint training together.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm the one who taught them these new zones. And I purposely left a little opening between all of the zones. So we'll just go in between that opening.
That's
and
straight sus.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one time that I was like, oh, a little suspicious to leave that there. It's like,
you just wanted to have like a trail where you could drink the entire time.
You could say, it's like, oh, it's so they don't, bump into each other. Like it's a little buffer.
He's done an awful job at that.
Because I mean, look at what happened.
But he taught them their zones, but you can't control them, man. When they hear Ichigo's there, everybody's going buck wild.
The one that's going to be a complete mystery to us is the next filler. Where the Zanpakutos come to life.
Well, I think that's a while
that's like,
into the future.
I think that's when we're in Aizen's and Karakura.
Yeah, I think that's a while out. So, but that's a long boy also. That's a real long boy.
Yeah, that's almost a year's worth of episodes, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never watched it. I remember that arc came out, and I tried to watch it because, like, I think it was about 3/4 of the way through, and people were like, yo, it's actually really, really good. I was like, okay. So I kind of started watching it. I was like, oh, it's just a fucking filler again.
Is it the one with the green hair guy that has the spinny blade?
So.
He has a really long fingernail.
Yeah.
On one.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking.
He's like a pale guy. I'm going to try and describe him from memory. Pale guy. I think he has kind of like darkish red hair that's like slicked back. He's got a weird long nail.
Yeah. And he's got like a purple.
Yeah, and he's got like
outfit.
a way V, like fucking. So his chest is showing.
Who is this? This is
the bad guy in the Zanpakuto Rebellion arc. So almost done. Boring episode.
Yeah.
Last 5 episodes should be good. Fingers crossed. I have not hated this filler arc as much as I remember. So
I just remember this filler arc being boring.
I don't know if they come back later or not, like the princess and Kinryu and Inryu, because I remember hating them a lot. I don't really have any grudges against them this whole time. They've been fine.
They're just awful characters.
Is this no, this isn't where we get the soccer.
It's not, which is annoying because I thought it was. So that's why I think they might come back.
They probably come back right before the.
Yeah, they might like be there for the soccer game. They might like, hey, we're here to hang out.
We're the new mod souls.
Yeah, because they do like little short bursts of filler episodes.
Yeah, they'll do like 3-episode ones or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far hasn't been bad. We'll see how it finishes.
But I mean, like,
we'll see from there.
I haven't watched this, and I'm going off of what you have told me. This is a boring as fuck.
It is boring. The one complaint I will give is it's boring.
Like
it's not exciting. I don't like that they keep switching back to like the Amagai parts and then to the
Ichigo
like the Ichigo parts.
Like you have to like in my position, you have to like even if I didn't know he was gonna be a bad guy, there's something sus about him. They wouldn't be doing two stories at the same time.
I disagree with that because as obviously you're not the person watching it, but I think they've done a very good job so far of. Yeah, you think he's suspicious, but then they kind of offload all of that suspicion onto Kibune, and then they do a really good job of like this whole time,
making
the last couple
like
episodes, where Amagai just comes off as a good guy.
Got you.
Just like a genuine. Like if I was watching this for the first time, not knowing what I know, I would be assuming they're going to kill him. Like coming up, I would be like,
kill Amagai.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my assumption. Is like they're setting him up to be too good of a guy.
Oh,
they're setting him up to just like, I gotta
hold Ichigo Kurosaki.
like,
this is my
yeah,
battle.
it's like I gotta get Kibune back myself. All this stuff.
But secretly doesn't die, and then Ichigo goes to defend him, and then takes out the other guys. Like, you fool! You took out the guy I wanted to take out. Now I will take you out.
Oh,
no,
my
you would
God.
not get that from the first 7 episodes, Jose. Okay.
Okay, Jose derailed that hard. Now
Yeah.
I'm starting to guess that might be the way it goes.
So,
but okay, I think that's fair. But this is mediocre.
yeah,
Like,
and I think that's the
there's
complaint.
no stakes.
but
I
I
guess
mean-
is the issue. And I know it's filler.
Well,
but
it's
like,
no stakes when it starts off and it says, "Hey, this is in a different time. Like here you go." It's like it ruins it immediately.
'Cause it's
yeah.
You don't know when this takes place. They can't do anything because they haven't seen what's about to happen. So it's like they can't even mess with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's call it boring podcast for a boring 5 episodes. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with the finale of the filler arc, and we'll get back into the actual good stuff of Bleach, which thank God. We're moving on. Once again, filler arc, not bad, just boring. So thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on the video. If you have any questions or anything like that, be sure to let us know in the comments. And if you're listening anywhere else, be sure to rate 5 stars and leave a nice review. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Until then, bye.